Elena Torres pressed her forehead against the cool glass of the taxi window, watching Manhattan's towering buildings slide past. At 25, she'd never been to New York City, never needed specialized medical care. But when her local doctor in Santa Fe had discovered irregularities in her routine blood work, anomalies he couldn't explain, he'd insisted she see specialists at the Sterling Health Center. Best diagnostics facility in the country, Dr. Morrison had said, writing the referral with hands that shook slightly. They'll figure out what's going on. The Sterling Health Center occupied an entire floor of a gleaming tower in Midtown. The reception area looked more like a luxury hotel than a medical facility, all marble floors and contemporary art. Elena felt distinctly out of place in her simple cotton dress and worn sandals. "Miss Torres?" A nurse in pristine white scrubs smiled professionally. "Dr. Sterling will see you now." Elena followed her down a corridor lined with awards and accolades. Dr. Alexander Sterling, apparently, was some kind of medical genius, multiple degrees, groundbreaking research, awards from organizations Elena had never heard of. The examination room was larger than her bedroom back home, filled with equipment that looked like something from a science fiction movie. Elena changed into the hospital gown, her stomach churning with anxiety. When the door opened, Elena looked up and found herself staring at possibly the most attractive man she'd ever seen in person. Dr. Alexander Sterling was tall, well over 6 feet, with dark hair touched with silver at the temples and eyes so intensely blue they seemed to glow. He wore his white coat over an expensive suit, and carried himself with the confidence of someone accustomed to being the smartest person in any room. But when he saw her, he stopped cold. Actually froze in the doorway, his face going pale, the tablet in his hand nearly slipping from his grip. "Dr. Sterling?" Elena asked, concerned. "Are you all right?" He seemed to shake himself, the professional mask sliding back into place, but his hands trembled slightly as he set down the tablet. "Miss Torres?" "Yes. I'm fine. Please, sit." His voice was deeper than she'd expected, with a rough edge that suggested emotion barely held in check. Elena sat on the examination table, watching as Alexander washed his hands with methodical care, his movements precise but slightly too controlled, like someone fighting to maintain composure. "Your referring physician sent comprehensive notes," Alexander said, moving closer but maintaining careful distance. "He documented some unusual markers in your blood work. Genetic anomalies that don't fit standard human patterns. Is it serious?" Elena's voice shook. "Do I have some kind of cancer?" "No." Alexander's response was immediate and firm. "Not cancer. But I need to run additional tests." He paused, seeming to struggle with something. "Miss Torres, Elena, may I ask you some personal questions?" "Okay. Were you adopted?" Elena blinked at the unexpected question. "Yes. When I was 6 months old." "How did you? Do you know anything about your biological parents?" "No. The adoption was closed. My adoptive parents, tried to find information when I was older, but there was nothing. It was like my biological mother didn't exist on any records." Something flashed across Alexander's face: pain, recognition, hope. "What about medical history? Anything unusual in your childhood? Unexplained illnesses, accelerated healing, enhanced senses?" "I've always healed quickly," Elena admitted. "And I can see better in the dark than most people. My mom used to joke that I had cat eyes." "Dr. Sterling, what's this about? You're scaring me." Alexander moved to sit in the chair across from her, abandoning medical distance entirely. When he looked at her, his eyes were filled with something that looked almost like tears. "Elena, what I'm about to tell you will sound impossible. But I need you to listen carefully." Her heart hammered. "Okay. 12 years ago, I had a relationship with a woman named Lyra. She was brilliant, beautiful, and extraordinary in ways I didn't fully understand at the time." He took a shaky breath. She was also not from Earth. Lyra was an extraterrestrial scientist studying human medicine. Elena stared at him. You're joking. I wish I were. When Lyra told me she was returning to her world, she said she wasn't pregnant. She said it was impossible for our species to produce viable offspring. His voice cracked. She lied. She was pregnant with my daughter. And she left that baby, you, on Earth with a human couple who could protect you. The room seemed to tilt. You're saying I'm half alien. Your genetic markers match exactly with Lyra's DNA profile. And they match mine. Alexander pulled out his phone, showing her a photo. This is Arya. She's 11 years old. My daughter from a relationship after Lyra. Arya's mother was also extraterrestrial, but she didn't hide the pregnancy. She died giving birth, and I've been raising Arya alone. The girl in the photo had Alexander's blue eyes and dark hair, but her skin was a soft purple that shimmered. You're my father, Elena whispered. That's why you reacted that way when you saw me. You have Lyra's eyes. Her smile. Her expressions. Alexander's voice was rough with emotion. I've been searching for you for 5 years, ever since Lyra sent me a message before she died, telling me the truth. But the adoption records were sealed, untraceable. Then your blood work came across my desk, and the markers were unmistakable. Elena felt tears streaming down her face. Why? Why would she give me up? To protect you. Lyra knew that a child showing obvious alien characteristics would be taken by governments, studied, exploited. You were born looking completely human, a genetic fluke, an incredible stroke of luck. She could hide you in plain sight, let you live a normal life. But you kept Arya. Arya's skin color made hiding impossible. So I've spent 11 years protecting her, keeping her secret, using my wealth and influence to ensure she stays safe. He moved closer, reaching for her hand but stopping short. Elena, I know this is overwhelming. But I've waited 12 years to meet my daughter. Please. Let me explain everything. Elena looked at him, at this stranger who claimed to be her father, this billionaire doctor with his impossible story. Part of her wanted to run, to dismiss this as insanity. But another part, the part that had always felt slightly different, slightly out of step with the world, recognized the truth in his eyes. Tell me everything, she said. Alexander's face crumpled with relief. Thank you. God, Elena, thank you. And as he began to tell her the story of Lyra, of Arya, of the years he'd spent searching for the daughter he never knew he had, Elena felt her entire world reconstructing itself around a truth more extraordinary than anything she'd ever imagined. She'd come to New York for a routine checkup. Instead, she'd discovered she was half alien, had a purple-skinned sister, and a father who'd been searching for her for years. The shocking diagnosis wasn't a disease. It was family. Over the next 2 weeks, Elena's life became a whirlwind of tests, revelations, and adjustments. Alexander arranged for her to stay in a secure penthouse near his own, insisting she needed monitoring while they explored her genetic makeup. More importantly, he wanted her close to Arya. The first meeting happened on a Saturday afternoon at Alexander's private estate in Westchester. Elena was terrified. How did you meet a sister you never knew existed? A sister who was half alien with purple skin? Arya answered that question by running straight to Elena the moment she saw her. You have mom's eyes. Arya exclaimed, studying Elena's face with wonder. Father showed me pictures. I always wished I had a sister. Elena knelt, finding herself face to face with a girl who was unmistakably her sibling despite the purple skin. I always wished I had a sister too. They spent the afternoon talking, laughing, discovering shared interests. Arya was brilliant, reading at a college level, fluent in 3 languages, passionate about science like her mother's. Do you remember your mom? Arya asked quietly as they sat in the garden. My adoptive mom raised me with so much love, Elena said. She died 2 years ago. Cancer. I miss her every day. I never knew my mom. She died when I was born. Aria's purple eyes filled with tears. But father says I'm like her. Curious and brave. You're definitely brave. Elena squeezed her hand. Living hidden away but still smiling, still learning, still hoping for connection. Over dinner, Alexander told Elena more about Lyra. She studied human physiology, trying to understand why Earth-based life was so resilient. She was fascinated by our capacity for adaptation. His voice softened. And she loved with an intensity that was almost frightening. When she told me she was leaving, I thought my heart would stop. Why did she leave? Elena asked. Her people were pacifists conducting long-term observational studies. Personal relationships with humans were forbidden, too much risk of emotional attachment affecting research objectivity. When her superiors discovered our relationship, they ordered her home immediately. But she was already pregnant with me. Yes. And she made the impossible choice, to protect you by letting you go, ensuring you'd have a normal childhood rather than being a scientific curiosity. That night, as Elena prepared to leave, Alexander walked her to her car. There's someone I want you to meet, he said. My business partner and closest friend, Marcus Reed. He's been helping me search for you, and he's Aria's godfather. He's important to our family. Something in Alexander's tone made Elena curious. Marcus came to dinner 2 nights later. He was in his early 30s, with warm brown eyes, an easy smile, and a gentle confidence that put Elena immediately at ease. He was a tech entrepreneur who'd partnered with Alexander on medical technology innovations. So you're the mystery daughter, Marcus said, shaking her hand. The moment their skin touched, Elena felt a spark, electric and unmistakable, from Marcus's sharp intake of breath. He felt it too. Over the following weeks, Marcus became a fixture in Elena's new life. He helped her understand the technology Alexander used to monitor Aria, explained the security systems protecting the estate, and made her laugh during the overwhelming moments. And somewhere between the scientific explanations and the quiet conversations, Elena realized she was falling for him. One evening, after Aria was asleep, Marcus found Elena on the terrace, looking at the stars. Thinking about your other half? He asked, joining her. Wondering if Lyra's people are out there somewhere. If they know about me. Alexander's been trying to contact them for years. No response. Marcus moved closer. How are you handling all of this? Some days I feel like I'm drowning. Other days, I feel like I finally understand who I am. She looked at him. You make it easier. Elena. His voice was rough. I need to tell you something. Since the moment we met, I haven't been able to stop thinking about you. Which is complicated because you're Alexander's daughter, and this situation is already overwhelming, but I can't pretend I don't feel this. Elena's heart raced. I feel it too. Marcus cupped her face gently. Are you sure? Because once we crossed this line, she kissed him, answering with action rather than words. The kiss was tender and passionate, weeks of tension finally released. When they broke apart, both breathing heavily, Marcus rested his forehead against hers. Alexander's going to kill me. Alexander wants me to be happy, Elena said. And you make me happy. Alexander's reaction to their relationship was surprisingly supportive. Marcus is one of the best men I know, he told Elena. And you deserve someone who sees you for who you are, all of you. The next 3 months were the happiest of Elena's life. She split her time between Santa Fe, settling her adoptive mother's estate, and New York, building relationships with Alexander, Aria, and Marcus. Marcus was patient and attentive, never pushing her beyond her comfort level. Their romance unfolded naturally, dinners overlooking the city, walks in Central Park, quiet evenings reading while Aria did homework nearby. One night, 6 months after that first checkup, Marcus took Elena to his loft in Brooklyn. The space was warm and lived in, filled with books and plants and evidence of a life fully lived. "I love you," Marcus said simply, pulling her close. Not Alexander's daughter, not the half-alien girl with the unusual genetics. Just Elena. The woman who's kind to my goddaughter, who makes me laugh, who challenges me to be better. "I love you too," Elena whispered. What followed was tender and passionate, a physical joining that felt like coming home. Marcus worshipped her body with gentle reverence, and Elena felt seen and cherished in ways she'd never experienced. Afterward, wrapped in his arms, Elena said, "I never thought I'd find this. Family, love, purpose. I thought I'd always be alone." "You're not alone anymore," Marcus promised. "You have all of us." But their happiness was threatened when Victoria Sterling, Alexander's ex-wife, discovered the truth. Victoria had divorced Alexander 5 years earlier, furious that he'd chosen to keep Arya rather than institutionalize her. She'd received a substantial settlement but had always wanted more. When her private investigator discovered Elena's existence, and the truth about both daughters being half-alien, Victoria saw an opportunity. The blackmail message came to Alexander's phone: 2 alien daughters. Can you imagine what the media would pay for this story? Or what I'll stay silent for? $50 million. "You have 1 week," Alexander called an emergency meeting. Elena, Marcus, Arya, who was old enough to understand, and his legal team. "We don't negotiate with blackmailers," Marcus said firmly. "But if she goes public, both girls lose their privacy forever," Alexander countered. "Then we go public first," Elena said. "On our terms." Everyone stared at her. "I'm tired of hiding," Elena continued. "Tired of being afraid. If Victoria's going to expose us anyway, let's control the narrative. Tell the truth, frame it properly, and dare the world to reject us." Arya's eyes widened. "You do that? Risk everything? For you? For this family?" "Yes." Elena took her sister's purple hand. "I spent 25 years not knowing where I came from. Now I know, and I'm proud. We shouldn't have to hide." Alexander's eyes filled with tears. "You're so much like Lyra." That's exactly what she would say. They had 4 days before Victoria's deadline. Alexander's PR team worked around the clock crafting a statement. Scientists and ethicists were contacted to provide supportive context. Legal experts prepared for every possible contingency. The night before the press conference, Victoria called Alexander directly. "You're really going to do this?" she asked. "Expose your daughters to the world?" "I'm going to tell the truth," Alexander said. "Something you've never been comfortable with. You'll regret this. Both those girls will be hunted, studied, exploited. Or they'll be protected by a world that's more compassionate than you give it credit for," Marcus interjected, taking the phone from Alexander. "And Victoria? We have evidence of your blackmail attempts. Recorded messages, financial demands, everything. You expose them, we expose you." Victoria's laugh was cold. "You think that scares me?" "It should," Elena said, taking the phone. "Because I've spent 6 months learning everything I can about my alien heritage. And one thing I discovered? I'm stronger than baseline humans. Faster. More resilient. So if you try to hurt my family, you'll have to go through me. And I promise, you won't like how that ends." The threat, delivered with quiet intensity, silenced Victoria completely. The press conference was held at Sterling Health Center. Hundreds of journalists packed the room. Alexander stood at the podium with Elena on one side, Arya on the other, and Marcus supporting them all from nearby. "My name is Dr. Alexander Sterling," he began. "And I'm here to tell you about my daughters." He told Lyra's story, a peaceful alien scientist who'd fallen in love with a human. He explained Elena's adoption, Arya's existence, the years of secrecy born from fear. I've hidden my daughters because I was afraid of how the world would react. But they've taught me that fear is no way to live. He looked at Elena and Arya with obvious love. These are my children. They're brilliant, kind, and deserve to be celebrated, not hidden. Elena stepped forward. I'm half human, half extraterrestrial. And I'm proud of both parts of my heritage. I won't apologize for existing, and neither will my sister. The questions came rapid fire, but the tone was surprisingly respectful. Scientists wanted to know about genetic compatibility. Ethicists discussed rights and protections. The public response, as it spread on social media, was overwhelmingly supportive. Victoria's blackmail attempt backfired spectacularly. Her recorded threats were leaked, and she faced criminal charges for extortion. The Sterling family had won. The publicity was intense but manageable. Scientists worldwide issued statements supporting the sisters' right to privacy. Legal experts helped Alexander establish unprecedented protections. Within weeks, legislation was proposed specifically protecting extraterrestrial human hybrids. But staying in New York became impossible. Media camped outside every property. Arya couldn't go anywhere without being photographed. Elena's entire history was dissected online. I have a solution, Marcus said one evening. My family owns land in Montana. 5,000 acres of protected wilderness with a private compound. Completely secure, off-grid if we want. We could build a life there. Alexander looked at Elena. What do you think? I think. Elena looked at Arya, then at Marcus, then at the father she'd found 6 months ago. I think home isn't a place. It's people. And my people are here. They relocated 3 months later. The compound was paradise, modern homes nestled in forest, space for Arya to run freely without hiding, and privacy to live authentically. Marcus proposed on their 1-year anniversary, on a hilltop overlooking the valley. I love you, he said simply. Human half, alien half, all of you. Will you marry me? Yes, Elena said through happy tears. They married 6 months later in an intimate ceremony on the compound. Arya was maid of honor, Alexander walked Elena down the aisle, and Lyra's memory was honored with a moment of silence for the woman who'd made it all possible. 2 years later, Elena gave birth to a son, perfectly healthy, with Marcus's brown eyes and skin that had a subtle shimmer, a hint of his extraterrestrial heritage. They named him Alexander Marcus Reed, and he was perfect. Standing on the porch one evening, watching Arya teach her nephew about the stars while Alexander and Marcus discussed expanding the compound, Elena reflected on the journey. She'd gone for a routine medical checkup, expecting nothing more than test results. Instead, she'd discovered her father, her sister, her heritage, and the love of her life. The millionaire doctor's reaction when he'd seen her had shocked her, that moment of recognition, of hope, of desperate longing finally answered. But his reaction had given her everything she'd never known she was missing. A family that celebrated all of who she was. A partner who loved her completely. A sister who showed her that being different was beautiful. And a father who'd never stopped searching. The checkup had revealed more than genetic anomalies. It had revealed her true self. And that truth, half human, half alien, wholly loved, was the greatest gift she'd ever received. Sometimes routine appointments change everything. Sometimes the shocking diagnosis is discovering you're not alone. And sometimes, the doctor who examines you isn't just treating a condition, he's finding the daughter he thought he'd lost forever. Elena had walked into Sterling Health Center looking for answers about her blood work. She'd walked out with a family, a future, and a love story more extraordinary than any fiction. The routine checkup became the beginning of her real life. And the millionaire doctor's shocked reaction? That was just the first moment of a story that would span years, continents, and the distance between worlds, proving that love, whether human or alien, always finds a way.